So just wanted to take a moment and just show everybody, this is a gift that my buddy, my brother, King Grech, just gave to me. And it's called My Lost Freedom by George Takai. He's the guy off of Star Trek,
Star
right?
Trek, yeah.
Star Trek. And I just want to share that this gift is probably one of the coolest gifts anybody's ever thought of to give to me. The timing of it, just critical, and it's crazy because I was sharing with you an allergic reaction that reminded me of my grandpa. So my grandpa just passed away this last year, and it's an amazing grandfather. He was 98 years old. Since COVID, we haven't seen him, but I made a lot of effort every time I could to spend time with him, up until he was about 94. And we celebrated I think it was his 94th or 95th birthday was the last time we got to spend together. But this book is something that I can share with my kids. And it talks about the story. It says My Lost Freedom. And it's about after World War II when the Pearl Harbor attack took place. And anybody who was of Japanese descent that lived in California or on the West Coast had to go to internment camps, relocation centers, whatever you want to call it. But they lost their freedoms, even if they were born here in the U.S., just by having Japanese blood. And so this is just another reason, and I just want you all to know why I'm so proud to be in business with this gentleman right here, Ken Grech. We walked away from an amazing company, Century 21, and great leaders, great leadership, and a lot of great friends that we worked together with,
Yeah.
and had to make one of the toughest decisions in our life, to now step out and do our own thing and go into business together. And we're creating a company, a real estate company. We just opened our first location in Old Town Camarillo, and it's a very exciting time. So I just wanted to take a moment and thank you, Ken, and make sure we document this because it's a very important moment for us.
You know, I wanted to give you that because you told me that story. It was really moving to me, and I know how much that would mean to you. And what this was the actual the George Tanaka was actually there in these prison camps, and I was listening to a show on Sunday, and Sunday morning they had a show on the radio, and he was explaining, believe it or not, that he was imprisoned in Santa Anita, the race, stuck in horse stalls.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, it just reminded me of you and what the stories of your grandfather and what you shared with me. And what this book is it's a children's book, but there are actual illustrations that were depicted based on what George was saying to this artist. And unfortunately, many of the pictures that are out there are not actual pictures of what they went through because they were burned or just erased. And the only pictures that are really out there are the ones that are propaganda, so people would see that everything was fine.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a more of an accurate depiction of what this child went through, probably what your grandfather went through.
Mm-hmm.
But the real reason is that what I want people to realize is that if you don't know Brandon, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's a great leader, a great friend of mine, and he truly cares about his agents and the people he mentors, not just agents, but his family and he's a hero to many people, including myself. He's helped me and coached me through a lot of things, and I've coached him through a lot of things. But we have a great partnership, and I truly do appreciate our friendship, and I can't wait to see what we do with this new company. And I think that this company's founded on some pretty strong principles. One of the main books that was introduced to me was Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
I introduced that to Bob Adams. Introduced it to me, who's passed away. One of my friends and colleagues and leaders that are mentors that mentored me, along with many other great leaders. I passed it to Brandon, and we both have picked up a lot from that. It's not just to make money. It's about how to lead your life in a certain way, and ethically, morally, and why we want to do this is not just to make a dollar. We really truly like to grow people, make them the best versions of who they are, and it's rewarding to us. And we're trying to do this. Yeah, yes, we want to grow and prosper so we can have the fruits of our labor as well. But I think if we have a work environment that's not only just work but fun, and then based on the right principles, I think we're going to grow. And I think that the team that we teamed up with Will and Eli, I'd like to thank them as well, for believing in us and growing their brand. Um, their systems and tools they developed it's like no other. So I think between the standard EXP, which is amazing, and then and did you know, by the way, on the EXP, what I liked about EXP, on another note, not to just downplay EXP, but he's trying to get health benefits for everyone for free.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what the system is based to help the agents. It's not just to help the brokerage, which I like, and that's why Brandon and I joined that. Is we saw that it actually gave people some benefits, some revenue share that they can get something out of that, some stocks, and they can grow their own business the way they like. But when we met Will and Eli, it's like no other EXP because of the systems and tools that they have are proprietary to them. And Brandon and I were just blown away by, I mean, at least I was right off the bat, I was blown away with the systems. And that's what I used to do, is vet those types of systems. So the technologies and the systems that they do and what they bring to the table are just bar none pretty awesome. But lastly, the most importantly, why Brandon and I feel that this company is going to be different than any other company is that our leadership. I know for a fact there's no other leaders that are bringing the leadership and leadership skills that we offer, and it comes from many years of actually being a practitioner. Over 24 years of selling real estate, selling hundreds of homes and dealing with other people's files as a manager and a leader, you get to learn a lot. And a lot of times he'll hear people speak about how to do this and how to do that, and they really haven't done anything. So, I know that I personally will be contributing that. But Brandon, what do you share with us what you feel you'll be contributing as far as leadership and what you have to offer to the agents?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, you hit on a lot of great points. The part that I'm excited about is creating a culture similar to what we just recently did, both in our offices. You were in the CME office, I was in the camera office, and pretty much built it from the ground up. Created a trusting environment that people wanted to be a part of, that they wanted to come in and come to work. Most people want to work, but they don't know what to do. They don't know where to start, and we teach people how to build a healthy, strong business. And the very first principle my dad shared with me when I got into the business when I was 22. I've also been doing this about 20 years now. I'm 42 years old, started when I was 22 years old, and grateful that I'm second generation into the business. So my dad retired Navy after 23 years, taught me that at the end of the day, you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. And integrity is the first most important thing, that no amount of money is ever worth trading your integrity.
Yeah.
So this company is going to be built on those same core principles of integrity, doing what's right when people aren't looking, and standing by those values. And we know that people will be attracted and want to be a part of this environment. We've already seen it happen.
Yep.
And now it's our baby, our thing that we're building, and we're grateful for those that have already come across to join us, because we know we're going to do some amazing things with them and their careers. But our big thing is there were two very important losses that I experienced in this last year. First one was my grandfather, who was my closest last living descendant relative that I just loved playing with as a kid, until the last days when I'm going through law school, and he's sharing these stories that he never shared with my mom, with my uncle. They didn't know any of it. But because I was studying it in law school, asking him questions about the Korematsu case, he started sharing with me that he was actually in post in Arizona in a camp. And from there, his group actually got drafted to go to war in Europe. and fight. And in another bunker, they were actually the most decorated group. But in his bunker, they were all upset that they all lost all their rights. They're basically treated like criminals and prisoners. And they aren't treated as Americans, yet now they want to send them off to go die for our country. And so his group actually resisted that. And so he was embarrassed to tell me that. He was embarrassed to tell my dad, who fought in the Navy for 23 years. His own father was a decorated soldier in World War I for the U.S., fought for the U.S. in World War I, and then treated as the enemy in World War II. So I share these things because he groomed me and helped instill into me that, one, you're lucky you don't look Japanese because you're going to be treated differently. Two, you're going to have to work twice as hard as any of your friends to have just the same opportunities that they have. Twice as hard. And so he instilled that at a young age along with my parents. And if anybody knows my mom, who's full Japanese, and she always liked to say she was Hawaiian, right? Because her grandpa was actually born in Maui, so she is Hawaiian. Born in Maui, and he was the American soldier also in World War One. But all this story, all this comes out, and one of the last things I remember my grandpa telling me is, you have to be a voice for the poor people. And I didn't know how I was going to do that after law school. And to this day, I've never practiced law one day.
Yeah.
But what I did do is I was introduced to Ken Grech, and he right away we were just drawn together, and I knew I wanted to be in business with him. That was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so this has been a dream of mine for over 10 years, and I would say ours for over 10 years, and now it's coming to reality, which is pretty amazing.
You know, it's funny because when I met Brandon, he was like a sponge, and I mean, you would come in and just ask me these questions, and a lot of people ask me questions, but I could see the way you were taking it in, and then all of a sudden, then just, you know, practicing what I was preaching, and seeing your success and seeing you grow. I was proud of that, you know, and at the same time, I didn't realize that you were actually helping me as well. You know, I am, the students teaching the sensei, I guess you can say. But I realize he's just as much of a sensei as I was, you know, and his knowledge and his words of wisdom and advice helped me become a better person and a better teacher. He actually led me into leadership, made me realize that I needed to help spread my knowledge and my wisdom to other people that needed help the way I helped him. And I really took great pleasure in that. So I want to thank you for allowing me to share what I know with people and impact the people's lives that I did and have and continue to impact. Because at the end of the day, you can't take all the money with you, and you can't. Nobody cares about the car that's in your driveway when you pass away. So, but I want to be able to say, hey, you know what? I did help people out. I did leave a lasting impact in someone's life, and there's no greater reward for me personally on that. Are we perfect? No, we're not perfect. You know, we all have our struggles, and we do the best we can. But that being said, we did create an environment in our previous facilities where we worked, and some of the main core principles was to eliminate greed, envy, jealousy. All that was just nonsense. I wanted to work with people that wanted to work, and where we were all helping each other. And if we can all, you know, help and support each other, become better people, better practitioners, you know, it just you'd be surprised what that fuels and what that brings. So our new company is going to be based off of that, and we're not going to just allow anyone in who just doesn't have these core values and core beliefs. We don't need to, and they're either going to be team players and want to work cohesively, or they're not going to work with us, and that's what we agreed upon. So this is something that's a little bit different, you know, where everybody's trying to bring in anybody they want to make a paycheck. We're not. We want to have a company that truly believes in the principles and what we believe in, and you know, and they don't have to agree with everything we say, but they have to fundamentally work with each other and prosper, you know, in an environment that we we all can prosper in.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was great. And so, just getting back to, I mentioned there were two key people. Well, the second person was my good friend Jason Nash. And Jason Nash was a client. He was a good friend of mine. He was introduced through another good friend at a birthday party when they heard that they were looking for their first home. And we helped them with that about 7 years ago. And helped them buy a condo, multiple properties. We coached baseball together. We got to be very close. We'd camp together. He's the reason why I have a 38-foot RV, is because he was like, "Bud, you got to get a trailer. You got to get an RV." So of course I get a huge one, and he's like, "Of course you had to go big, right? Of course you had to get that." And it was luckily from a good friend here in town who just happened to have one, and he was selling it, and his family had already enjoyed it. But Jason, the reason why I bring him up is he definitely is gone too soon, and more than anything, he was the primary earner for his family. And I started thinking, okay, if something happens to me, I can earn while I'm here, but if something happens to me,
Yeah.
what happens to my family? And I understood that my current situation and my current setup, that if I stayed the course for another 5, 10 years, that I wasn't going to be any better off than where I was currently standing. So I knew I had to walk away from something that I was very comfortable, very proud of what I feel I've built, especially definitely over the last 20 years, but definitely in the last 10 years since law school, on being on a leadership path. And I'm very grateful for the leaders that believed in me, including George Morris and John Site, including Brian Troop. I'm grateful for their leadership and them trusting me at 32, 33 years old, putting us in touch. And then nobody forced us to do anything.
Yeah.
There was just something there that I knew that I was going to be in business with you. And so from there, EXP as a platform made so much sense, because now we can create our own company, and every single agent in our office can do the same and diversify themselves and create something where it's an all inclusive, we all support each other,
Right.
we can all win together. But again, it's like attracts like. So you want to make sure we are very protective of the environment, just like we had been in the past with our previous things. And now it's building towards the future.
And adding to what you just said, with the EXP platform, Brandon and I are now able to leave our legacy. Whatever we grow financially, we can leave it to our kids or significant other.
Right.
As long as they become licensed within a year, everything we build gets transferred to them. So again, the platform is designed to help agents, grow, but also have some kind of a savings in a sense, which is difficult in our business. We can make a lot of money, but with that, people don't realize how many hours and how many what it takes to make a lot of money.
Right.
And you spend a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, at the end of the year, you really don't have a lot. I mean, you do, but not really. So this allows you to have a little bit of a nest egg that you could possibly pass on to your family.
Right, which is very challenging to do in this day and age with any type of job. Just having a pension, right? Having a job that can create a pension or a retirement. Many of us are looking, especially living in California, Southern California, but California in general, where expenses have gone through the roof. We're not going to start talking politics and everything else, but it's made it very difficult. And there's a reason why many people are leaving the state, right? But there are many people who love living here and want to stay here and are proud of being a Californian, right?
Yeah.
And we're trying to find a way that can help bridge that gap and make it so that you can create that life for your family. And that's why this isn't, yes, we're working on our legacies, but we want to focus on every one of our agents and creating their legacy, as well as our clients, the buyers and sellers who trust us with one of the top most stressful experiences that they're going to go through in their life, knowing that we don't take that lightly, and that we are going to train our agents better than anybody else is going to train here in the area, period. And I can say that with conviction because we've been trained by the best, and we've studied this like a science for the last 20 years. I mentioned going to law school, never practiced one day of law, because I realized right away that my strengths and my calling was going to be in real estate. and that I was going to improve the real estate community by dissecting it like a science and learning how to help build people's lives and futures.
Yeah.
That real estate has done so much for our families and changing the course of our lives and giving us the opportunities to be able to coach our kids, to be able to be at every one of their important events, to be the best fathers and the best husbands that we can be, and the best friends that we can try to be. Again, admitting that we make mistakes, right? We understand that, and I've grown spiritually. I've gotten closer to God, especially going through this life-changing event that I've done to myself. Nobody else pushed it. Nobody else forced it. But I do believe God puts certain situations and certain things in front of you to see, is this really what you want? Well, you say you want it, but do you really want it? Okay, let's see if you do. Now you're gonna have some challenges. Now you're gonna have some hurdles to overcome. We're gonna see how bad you want that. And I can't say this has not been easy by any means, but this isn't about comfort and this isn't about ease. This is about God doing for us what we need to become the leaders that we need to be for all the people who are going to trust their families and their lives with us, just like we're doing the same.
No, I just want to again keep saying to everyone else how much I appreciate this guy, because those are the words that truly inspire people, including myself and everyone else. In a time where we're not allowed to say this and say that, one of the reasons why I want to work with Brandon is that he has no, he doesn't deny his faith, and I respect him for that. I respect him for not forgetting about his heritage. These are the core reasons that he is who he is, and he never once tries to top you and brag about his degree and what he's done. He uses it in a manner to help people, and I respect him for that in many ways. Myself, I look back at all the people I've helped in real estate, and I know that I've changed people's lives. I know that I've created wealth that no one else could create with the investments that they've made. But I still believe in the American dream. I got into the business in believing in the white picket fence, place to hang your hat. It's not always a stock. And so we have to, teach this new generation that this is someone's house. This is where you're going to raise your family. And we need to make sure that this place that they purchase is financially sound, but it's also a good fit for them. So we care about the people that we work with. We're not just trying to sell them anything. Over the years, the real estate agent, the realtor has received, especially now, they're receiving a bad rap on who they are and what they do. But you don't get it when you're working with a first-time buyer. Sometimes you're working with that person for over a year. Countless showings, countless hours, and trying to get them a home so they can have a place to call home. And nobody tells that side of the story. Nobody talks about the veterans that we worked with that have given me hugs and cried because they couldn't believe they were able to. I had a guy who was almost 55 years old come up to me, big biker guy, gave me a hug and started crying as I handed him the keys to his house. And I said, "Whoa," I go, "What's going on?" He goes, "I never thought I could, as a man, be able to give this to my wife."
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Thank you for that." Those type of stories that I don't tell them to try to boost my ego. I tell them because they have had a significant impact on who I am as a person and why I continue to do it.
Right.
Those type of things that when you realize that this is, hey, you're changing someone's life,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a great responsibility when you do that. And it's unfortunate that over the years, some people don't see it that way, and we don't. We go, and everything I've learned and everything I've done, I've taught to Brandon, and I didn't have to teach it to him. He had that innately in him. So him being the best version of who he is all we can ask for, and I continue to see him grow and prosper in his what he brings around him. I'm not talking financially. I'm just talking about the people that are surrounding him. And there's a reason why they surround him, because he's a great leader.
Thank you, man. No, I appreciate that, and I feel the same about you. And I know that it's very important that you and I not just work together, but we keep each other close. And for those of you out there that are looking for, there's a lot of questions out there, as questions about the industry, questions about can they continue being a real estate agent? Can you continue as an agent? Are you going to be able to provide through real estate? That's the big question. And so I think it was something like 35% of all agents last year in California didn't pay their MLS dues or their realtor dues. Almost more than a third of the agents didn't pay because they didn't do enough business last year, with a 40% hit in California in terms of sales, as well as these new things that are being implemented to, again, protect. The whole goal is always to protect the consumer. The intentions are good, but in reality, it actually hurts the consumer. And so one thing that both of us have a lot of conviction and passion towards is educating. Right. So because that's the piece we haven't talked about. So we decided to open a 2,500 square foot location here in Old Town Camarillo. And we did that for multiple reasons. One, Old Town Camarillo is awesome, right? Yeah. It's the best. We come into the office, we feel that's why we're sitting right here at this part of the office, because we want to be by the sun. We want to see the action, the activity. There's kids that are walking by with their parents. You go up the street and you got some great food. We got Taco Tuesday at El Rey's, just walking distance. So that energy is so healthy, right? Instead of going into a stale office, right? Yeah. But we wanted this for our clients, so that it's right off the freeway and they can find us easily and park anywhere and walk here, and then we could go grab a bite afterwards. But we're going to educate. We're going to do home buyer classes. We're going to do home seller classes. We're going to do wills and trusts. We're going to continue to educate and give, because we know that the more we educate and we empower people, now you can make decisions that are going to help you with your legacy. And for many people, I just had a talk with somebody on Friday, first generation in this country from Mexico. And he says his goal is, at the very end of it, we do the whole consultation. And it's okay, you need credit for this, and we're going through it, right? Not the fun part of the conversation. And before we got done, I asked him the question, why do you want to own a home? And I get goosebumps just thinking about it, because he answers it. And he says, my parents were the first ones here, so he's second generation. So I want to be the first one to own a piece of property and a home, so that our kids don't have to stress about rent the way that we stress about rent. And they have something. And whether it's a small little condo, whatever it is, we just want that so we can give that to our kid. And he says the words, that'll be my legacy. And I just got goosebumps, because I know that's our whole focus, is about creating legacies.
So Brandon didn't mention that, and we didn't mention it, but our company is called Smile, which is start making your legacy. And this is what we believe in. But I also want to piggyback on what you were saying. There's currently as speaking to the realtors now, there's a lot of companies that are preaching a lot of fear tactics about the new laws that are taking impact as far as the commissions and things of that nature. And it's just ridiculous. For sale by owners have always been around. Right. And there's a reason why someone chooses to hire a realtor throughout history.
95% of them
95% do. It's never been that someone's been steered or forced into paying a realtor for their services. But the reality is, when they're talking about the laws and they're talking about the situation in hand, they're talking about this current marketplace. Mm-hmm. In a time when there's no inventory. So it's easy to say, hey, don't pay a commission to a buyer, don't pay this, and you don't need that in this current environment when there's no homes, because yes, they do sell easier. But the reality is, as the economy changes and inventory changes and the increases, believe me, there's going to be homes that are sitting there, and these and sellers are going to want to offer something. So you as an agent have to realize that, hey, don't buy into all this nonsense that real estate is over. You know, the real estate will continue because if you know what you're doing and you know how to protect and advise and help, you know, individual homeowners in doing what they need to do,
Right.
your job will never be obsolete.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll tell you, what they don't realize this with these new laws, the only people that are affecting are impacting our first-time buyers, VA buyers,
No money
and
down.
no
Little
money down. Those
Yeah.
people are really going to hurt and suffer. So this is having an adverse
Well,
effect.
so
Yeah.
far that's the way it is. But as we've already seen, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have already changed their guidelines.
Yeah.
There's a really strong possibility. Again, this is just intuition based off experience, that there's going to be certain laws or guidelines that are created. Also,
They're going to have to.
they have to.
They have to protect the consumer.
Otherwise, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
The way that it's currently set up or being talked about is going to hurt those buyers.
Yeah, and it's also going to hurt the seller too, because
Right.
you know, you're now eliminating a huge buying pool that was there. You know, when you're eliminating those multiple offers that would have been there, now you're going to get a lower selling
Right.
price than you would have before.
Right.
You know, and on top of that, if you had repairs or things of that nature that now people are not harping on because they want the home, believe me, when there's only one offer on your home,
Right.
and it's for the asking price and not over, why would they? Because there's no competition. They're definitely going to ask for everything to be
Right.
fixed. So
And
it's,
we'll
get into
do
that.
yeah, we'll do another video in the future talking in more details with that. You know, the big reality to understand, especially for today in this current market today. In this current market today, everything's still the same.
Yep.
The practice is going to change a little bit. There's going to be a little bit more contracts, which in California we love contracts. There's contracts 16 pages, 17 pages, 19 pages, right? It's the offer, then you have this addendum, and you're saying the same thing 40 more times for disclosures. So that's what keeps the economy going, right? In California. But the biggest thing to understand is you do need to make sure that you seek guidance, right? Whether you're going to try to do this. And the reality is people are trying what is being proposed right now, even in this low inventory market, and ask them how that's going. That's all I got to say. Ask them what kind of results are they seeing if they're trying to do what's being proposed, right? Because the reality is it is not outlawed for a seller to offer compensation to a buyer's agent.
Exactly.
That's what the media doesn't put out there. There's nothing that says a seller can't pay a buyer's commission. So that's the reality. And as the public gets educated on what reality is, not what sounds ideological, but the reality of how business goes, then you're also going to see other changes too. So there's just going to be different options, and it's always been negotiable. Nobody's ever said that it hasn't been. So I just don't want to do. I know we're getting into it,
Yeah,
but we got to end this soon so that we can. We wanted more than anything. We wanted to share our thoughts about why Ken and I are so passionate about the major decision we made for ourselves and the agents who have already joined us and are going to be joining us. And just, we don't take it lightly, but we've never done this and spoken to the public about our intentions. And so if you have any questions, just reach out to us. I'll give my cells 805-815-1327.
Mine's 805-217-1368. So 217-1368. But yeah, piggybacking again with what Brandon's saying, we weren't here to give you a class. And we get into it because that's what we do. We get into it because we feed off of each other. We get going on these videos and we have these discussions. But at least you can get a flavor of the type of leaders that we are. You know, we're educating ourselves constantly on a daily basis of what the new laws are, but we always want to keep a positive focus on what we're doing and not just buy into the negative, you know, the narrative that's being put out there. And unfortunately, I've seen it not just from the media, but I'm seeing a lot of top leaders in the industry falling prey to this as well. They're actually preaching things that aren't true,
Right.
you know, and it's not the case. And there's a lot of good people out there, a lot of good leaders, and a lot of great information that we would like to share with you. If this is something you'd like to do and join a real estate company that's growing, that believes in the fundamentals of ethics and morality, believes in what's right for the consumer, this is the place to be.
And I'm going to share, just to finish this up real quick, there's 6 foundational principles. So we already talked about kind of the initial drive of the focus of legacy, right? Some people call that your purpose, your why. So there's 6 things. Number 1 is that legacy, that purpose. Why are we doing this? What's the fuel that's going to feed you to keep you going when things aren't working your way? We got to protect mindset, as you're talking about.
Yep.
We can control what goes on between the ears. And this is what we teach. This is what we teach the kids as we coach sports, baseball and softball. We teach them the same things. Is you can't eliminate fear, but how do you dance with fear? How do you not allow fear to shut you down? And how do you control what's going on up here? Because there's people who are counting on us, right? So mindset is big in terms of what we teach, what we create, and we help people protect their mindset. We help build their mindset and help them become, as Ken mentioned, the best version of ourselves, right? So the third thing that we also do is, and this is why we joined EXP, it's creating systems and efficiencies.
Yep.
So that you can do everything, so that you can be a great leader in the real estate industry, so that you can be a great parent, so that you can be at every one of your kids' games or school events and be present so they remember you and it wasn't all just about business, right? So how do you create those efficiencies? That's why we teamed up with EXP, with KV Core, with Agent HQ, and the systems that we're going to get into a little bit more detail down the road that are going to make our lives easier through automation, through just keeping everything centralized, and then also having training and platforms off of that, right? Number 4, we have business and we have goal setting, right? So creating a business plan, you got to know where you're heading. You got to have a vision and know, okay, for this year, this is what I need to do to make sure I can stay in the real estate industry and grow and then create a career out of it. So we got to have a plan, we got to know where we're going, and then we got to track it. We got to be held accountable. And we have to have people in our lives that are going to keep us on track. For our clients' sake as well, they also have to have a tracker and know where they're heading, right? So that's number 4. Number 5, I'm trying to remember 5. I think I already jumped to 6. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Discipline and doing
Accountability.
Yeah, discipline's a part of the accountability. So it's business, plan, it's purpose, it's mindset, it's discipline. Last one, most important one. You know what it is? Skill sets.
Skill set. All right.
Okay, so it's all the skill sets.
I never know the order. He always keeps track of the order.
Right. No, the order is not important. What's important is creating a culture and a company and understanding that there are 6 key foundational areas that you have to master. Yeah. And when you master all 6 of those areas, then you create the life that is possible and you can help as many people as possible.
Yeah, it's easy to try to do this on your own, but why would you? You know, we've taken the time to have the best mindset, understand what it takes to be the top realtor around, understanding the systems and tools, and we didn't develop that, we developed it with our team. So we have a full marketing team, our full tech team, we have systems and tools that are going to make all of us more efficient. In today's time, you know, things have changed, and that's one thing. And they always call me the old guy, the guy that's been doing this 100 years, and maybe so. Maybe I still believe in meeting face to face and doing things, putting people in my car and having open houses and talking to people, because I still believe it's a people to people business. But you know what? I'm not naive enough to not realize that YouTube is the new TV. You know, I'm not naive enough to know that I don't need a CRM. They can handle hundreds and hundreds of transactions in systems for me. So it's the tools, it's the mindset, it's the integrity, it's the morality. It's all combined. But at the end of it all, what we do is keep you accountable and coach you through what to do and what not to do, and set these systems up for you, which a lot of people don't even know how to do. But, yeah.
And what we'll do also in the future is we'll interview agents that have started from scratch with us, brand new agents. And I remember meeting, one of those gentlemen, and he looked like he was afraid of his shadow, right? When we first met. Nicest kid in the world. And I say kid, how old was he when we
Like
first
20,
met him?
21.
20, 21 years old. And now one of the top agents, definitely in the new company, right? But even in the previous company, how many transactions did he do last year? 20.
Like no, a little under 20. But
So
this is only new to the business. But I called that person the turtle because he was he seemed to get off slow, but what it was is that he was taking time into perfecting his craft. And I will tell you, that particular agent, what you may not know, he's already got 50% repeat business. So
right.
nobody does that. And why? Because he focuses on his client.
Mm-hmm.
And the videos and the testimonials that this person has received, I've never seen someone receive these videos like
Right.
that. These people love this guy.
What, 3 years in the business?
3 years in the business, and already his